How's it going, Eliminators? Are you tired of hearing leaky airline fittings? Well, today I'm going to be showing you a product that can fix that, as well as increase airflow to your pneumatic tools. So with that being said, let's get right into it. So to get right into today's video, are you guys tired of hooking up your airline to whatever air tool you're using and you're hearing this? Next thing you know, your compressor keeps kicking back on over and over again because, well, all your air is leaking out of your fitting. So first and foremost, today's video is not sponsored. I went out and bought all of these fittings myself because, as you guys saw, I had some leaky airline fittings. So today we're going to be checking out these Milton V HighFlowPro fittings that advertise 70% more flow. These are also Colorfit. You guys are going to notice that some of my tools here have purple fittings on them. Some of them have silver ones. So first things first, being a small engine mechanic, these air tools here are the ones that I mainly use. So I'll just go over them briefly. I have a straight style die grinder. I have a 90-degree style die grinder that I use the Scotch brake pads on. Those are great for removing gasket material from cylinder heads when I'm doing a head gasket. I have an air hammer. I have a set of pneumatic shears. That's good for cutting sheet metal. I have a straight style zip disc or cutoff disc. That's also great for cutting into mower decks or pretty much anything else that I need. And then I have just your standard air tool here to blow off the light debris from the tops of mower decks and pretty much anywhere else on a mower or riding mower. And you guys saw at the beginning of the video there, I hook up my airline to whatever air tool that I was using previously, and all of the air was leaking out of these cheap fittings. And I'm telling you guys, this is like cheap stuff. None of these tools are high quality. You're gonna notice there's a lot of Power Fist, which is similar to your Harbor Freight over there in the US. And I have some Maximum tools and some Hot Rod ones. Those are old Canadian Tire stuff. But for all the years that I've been using these tools, the tools themselves still work fine and they've more than paid for themselves. But today we're going to be upgrading these old leaky fittings and putting on some new ones that not only don't leak, but increase flow. So Milton makes all kinds of different air tool products, and they do make fittings and couplers, which is what we're going to be focusing on today. So there's a couple things to break down. First and foremost is the Colorfit. What does the Colorfit mean? Well, Milton makes a whole bunch of different anodized fittings so that you can basically sort your air tools for wet or dry use. So for example, all of these tools on the right here require lubricant, whereas a tool like this is just a blow-off tool and it doesn't require any lubricant. So you would use one airline in a specific shop designated for wet and then one for dry. For example, here in my shop, I'm just doing small engine repair. I'm not doing like painting or anything where you would want a specific line to be a dry air line. So you'll see that I'm going to be installing the same fitting on pretty much all of my tools. So in today's video, we're not necessarily going to be focusing on the Colorfit fittings. However, we are going to be focusing on the V-style fitting, which you can see is much larger in diameter than any of their other style fittings, such as the M, the A, or the T fitting. So the V style means high flow. Now on my pneumatic shears here, you guys are going to see this is just a standard 1/4 inch airline fitting. Now I did say that I was going to do a side-by-side comparison, and I have 4 different ones here from smallest to largest, and then I have a steel one compared to a brass one in the center that are the same. And what you guys are going to notice here is just the diameter difference of these fittings. You guys can clearly see that the Milton V HighFlowPro fitting is absolutely massive, almost twice the size as the small one over here on the left. And you'll commonly see very restricted fittings such as the one on the left there on a lot of the cheaper Chinese style tools. Now, a perfect example of that would be my die grinder here. Unknowingly to me, I had that very restricted fitting installed on this, And what I found was that I'd have to really crank the PSI up on my compressor, and then I would have to get the die grinder spinning very, very fast and dig it in quickly to a piece of metal that I was trying to grind. But what I noticed was it just kind of lacked the torque. I'd have to lift up pressure, increase the speed of the bit again, and then dig it back down. And that was not really ideal. So we're going to be talking about increased flow and how that actually increases a little bit of the torque on these tools here. So you guys could just imagine running an air tool with a very restrictive fitting like that compared to the new Milton V-style fitting over here on the right. The volume of air you get is absolutely insane compared to what we were getting before. And as I mentioned, Milton does say that you get 70% more flow, and I believe it just because you're increasing the amount of volume of air that can travel through your line. And your fittings aren't the only thing that are going to be restrictive. Your airline itself could also be restrictive. And one of the best things that you could do if you needed a new airline and yours was damaged was upgrade to like a 1/2 inch line. And because you're increasing the amount of volume of air in that airline, it's going to increase the amount of air that you have on demand. Now, you guys will need some open end wrenches to change over these fittings, and due to all of the fittings being a little different size on each different tool, I have 4 wrenches in front of me. From smallest to largest, we have a 9/16, a 5/8, an 11/16, and a 13/16 wrench. These are combination wrenches, but you will need at least an open end wrench, but I suppose you could use an adjustable if you didn't have these. Now, these Milton V fittings are 1/4 inch, and they will fit the majority of the air tools that you have, unless you have some higher end tools that require larger fittings. But these are aluminum, anodized purple. Again, that's the Colorfit, but we don't want to install these dry without anything on the threads. So before we install them into our tool, we're going to be wrapping them with some Teflon tape. Now, these are right-hand threads. They do screw in clockwise or righty-tighty to tighten up. So when using Teflon tape on threads that are right-handed, you always want to put your Teflon tape around counterclockwise so that the tail of the Teflon tape ends up on the left top side. That way, it doesn't unravel itself as you tighten that fitting into the tool that you have. So for example here, I'm threading it into the right, and the tail will end up on the top left. Now you guys can see that I have about 90 PSI in my airline right now. So we're gonna come over here to the regulator and we're gonna turn this all the way down to vent all of the air out of the line so it's safe for us to change those fittings. Next up, we can remove the coupler off of our airline here. Once again, same thing on the airline fitting here. Wrap the Teflon tape around so that the tail end is coming off on the top left, and then we're just going to push that down so it's nice and smooth. There's nothing really special to this, as we're just going to be removing the remaining fittings off of the rest of my tools here. Now, before we install the new Milton V coupler onto our airline there, I just briefly wanted to discuss the different packs that you can buy on Amazon. Now, I'm sure you can purchase these directly from the Milton website. However, I took advantage of Amazon's Prime 1- and 2-day fast shipping so I could get all of this done over the weekend. So for example, I have in front of me the 14-piece coupler and plug kit, as well as the 5-piece coupler and plug kit. And you're going to notice that I do have quite a few missing. The ones that I've used thus far are going to be most of the male style fittings that go straight in. However, there are some of the female style that have the threads on the inside, as well as different couplers, whether they are going to be female style or male style. So for what you see in front of you here, these 2 packs, I was pretty much able to do all of my tools, as well as the compressor. You might have also saw that. I upgraded pretty much every fitting that I could. And as far as cost goes, I spent about $75 Canadian to pretty much outfit all of my tools, as well as the compressor. As I said, I had to get rid of these old couplers and fittings. They were worn and leaking, and it was starting to annoy me. Same thing, guys, all of this stuff is pretty straightforward. Remove your old fittings and couplers, Teflon tape all the threads in the right direction, and then use your wrench to tighten everything up. Now you don't want to cross thread them or strip them out because these are just aluminum, but there is no real specific torque spec that I'm torquing these to. I'm pretty much just feeling for it. Tight is tight. Now I mentioned it, but I didn't show you guys. I also upgraded the fittings on the compressor side as well, just past the regulator here. So we're okay to turn up our regulator, pressurize that line. So with the compressor now aired up to roughly 90 psi, I'm going to take the new Milton V coupler onto their fitting, and these clamp in super nice, guys, and almost no air comes out of that thing, but I can assure you this thing is pressurized. These fittings and couplers, awesome. No leaking. They go on and lock super nice, and even though they have a little bit of play in them, there is absolutely no air coming out of that thing, guys. And the flow, absolutely insane. However, one of the best things that I've noticed about using these new Milton couplers is that, let's say you have an air tool that didn't have one of the new fittings on it, but you have a Milton V coupler. Well, these things, guys, they hook right up and they do not leak, and they still work. You still get the high flow, but you'll still have the restriction in your original fitting there. So I would highly recommend upgrading them to the Milton V HighFlowPro. So the links for the 2 packs that I used in today's video will be in the description, as well as the pinned comment down below. However, Milton does sell other packs, such as a female or male fitting pack, as well as a female or male coupler pack. If you wanted to buy just them, you can kind of mix and match them. So what I'll do is I'll just link all of the packs down below, and you guys can pick which ones you want to best suit your setup. Now, I'm no project farm. I don't have an airflow meter where I'm going to be measuring the CFM of one of these air tools here. But if Milton is claiming they improve flow by over 70%, well, I believe it, guys. 90 psi out of my compressor now feels like way more. These tools work way better, and it's almost like all of my old pneumatic tools now have some new life to them. And again, this is not a sponsored video. I can't stress it enough. I'm not being paid to say any of this or review this product. I just simply couldn't stand the sound of all that air leaking out of my old couplers and fittings, and decided to upgrade to these since I saw them on Amazon. And wow, what a difference. Not only do the couplers lock onto the fittings nice and tight, they don't leak, but they also give you 70% more flow compared to the older fittings there, guys. Look at that. I mean, the difference is right there. So go check these out on Amazon. I'm sure you guys will like them. Well, that's going to wrap up today's video. Just a quick one on airline fittings and couplers, but boy, what a difference those Milton V Colorfit HighFlowPro fittings made on my air tools. If you guys enjoyed the video, think about leaving me a thumbs up. You know, it really helps me out. You can click here to subscribe and click over here to watch one of my previous videos. I upload every single week, so be sure to stop on by next week. Check channel out for new content. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.